I'm going to discuss about the SQL course for beginners. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to miss an attribute null. All the customers in the database ID file doesn't have phone number. If you look close here, we can see the null. Null means the absence of the value. Now let's say search for all the customers don't have the phone. Person email found is a missing at the system. How can you get the customers? That is very easy. Is null operator. We can use where class. You can type a where phone is null. Now let's execute this query and you get on customers who doesn't have the phone. Here you can also not null operator who do have the phone. Change the condition into not null. Execute the query. Now in the query result, every customer does have the phone number. What is the exercise? I want to create the query orders that are not shipped. Various that are out of the application. Admin on the online shop, we want to see the follow them out. Let the query to get these orders. Here we have the orders table. Let's have the click look data in this table. If you close the attention, some of these orders don't have ship date. These orders also don't have the shipped ID, which is unique number of identify the shippers. Any order misses value for the ship date or shipper ID, consider order that not shipped. Let's go get this order. Back to the query editor, select star from orders where ship underline date is null. If you could also write shipper ID is null, both is equal. Now let's go to execute the query. You should get the 5 orders on 3, 4, 5, 6. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to show the data in a SQL query. You have to query all the customers from the customers table. If you look at the query result, you can see the customers sorted by the RD. We can have customers 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on, so on. This is a fault sort column. You always change this using the order by class. First, let me explain why the customer ID column is the fault sort column. First, I am going to open the navigator column. Next, left side customers table. Now, let's middle icon here looks like that. This open the customers table design mode. We can change the columns. You can add new column, remove existing ones, change the name of the orders, and so on. If you close the attention, you can see the yellow key just before the customer ID. This means that a column is a primary key column table. In relation of this database, every table should have the primary key column and the values in that column should uniquely identify the records in the table. Back to our query window, you can see the value of the column uniquely identify each customer. So the customer ID column is the primary key column in this table. That is why when we write the query in this, sorted by the ID by default. I show you how to sort the customer by different column. So here order by class, we type the name of the other column, first name. Further, let's execute the query. Now you can see the customers are no longer sorted by the ID. Instead, they're sorted by the first name, ascending order. Like if you want to reverse to the sort order, simply type out ESC is the descending short for sorting this customer descending order. Also sort the multiple columns. We can, for let's say first customers based on the state. Within each state, sort them by the first name. So we type the multiple columns here, state and first name. Let's execute the query. Now you can see the first date here, California California, on Florida, you can do customer. This customer is sorted by the first name. Let's have the first you have Amber. That's her is each customer. Also use the descending arguments. For example, is you can sort this customer by this way descending order, and then sort by them by the first name ascending order. Once again descending order. Various ways we can sort the data. What is the difference between MySQL and other database management system is that MySQL you can sort the data in columns, whether the column in the select class or not. For example, let's say one select first last name for each customer. Now you can sort the result any columns in the table. You'll have to first name, last name. For example, you can sort them the way to first date. Take a look. This is a valid query, MySQL. Other database management systems sometimes will query like this. And we also sort the alias. Here and you select the class number 10 with the alias as point. Let's say points. Points is not valid column. It's simply an alias for expression. Simple number. You would have the complex mathematical expression. It doesn't matter. You can still sort the data by alias. Order by points in the first name. Once again, this is the valid query by MySQL point of view. When finish this tutorial, we will teach you how to sort data by columns positions. For example, here is the order by the one, two, and basically means sorted data by the first name, the last name. These are the orders or columns. If you execute this query, you can see the customers are sorted by the first name and the last name. While this approach first versus something that's wide. If you in future in a new column in front of the first name column, like for example birth date no longer sorted in the previous order. Sorting data by the column position produces an expected result and something that you instead always sort by the column names. Here is the exercise for this tutorial. In this database, we have the orders items where you can find the each order. You cannot see the solution exercise I am not giving. That query process with this result. Only have items orders with the ID 2. We have the sorted the designer base total price each items. Total price which items equals to one unit price. In this case, the total price of the product one just over $18. If we go ahead and make a query, all the select items already to and sort them by the total price into the descending order. Let's select everything from orders, items, where order ID equals to order, how returns the order price. Now you can make sure them by the total price. Here an order by class like expression quantity times unit of price. Let's return the total price item. Then you add descending arguments here. This once again the expression that you can order by class doesn't have to the column name. It can be an alias expression like this. Let's go ahead and query. This is what we get clarity of the another column in the result. So let's say quantity times unit and this price alias total price. Execute the query. You can clearly say at this data and order total price in descending order. However, there's a little bit of the duplication of this query expressions. So now you can simplify order by class by using the alias total price, and you can exact. And things I'm going to show you how to limit the number of records which requires. Next, limit class. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to limit the number of records which returns in the query. For example, You get the all the customers in the customer table. You get 10 customers we have. Or do you want to get first three customers? That's why we use the limit clause. So after from we type out limit 3, only first three customers we will get. Arguments that you pass here greater than number of records query produces, we get the all the records from the record. If you pass for 300 here, obviously we want to 300 customers from the table. Execute the customer, we get the all the 10 customers in this table. This is how limit class will works. Here we can optionally supply offshore. This is very useful situation like you want paginate the data. Yeah, for example, you can say the custom website web page you have the customers, all the customers in the database. Simplicity of the imagine, you show the three customers per page. Even of the customer you can have the one page one. You don't have the customer one, two, three. On page 2, we can have the customer 4, 5, 6. And page 3, we can have the customer page 7, 8, 9. Now, let's see the one query. We set the customer page 3. How can you do that? We want to skip first 6 records and page, then 3 records. So you can change the limit class to 6, 3, 6 were called offshore. It basically tells the MySQL to skip the first three six records, then pick the three records. Let's execute this query. All right, now we get 789 customers. Now for you exercise, we will get the top three loyal customers. This is the customers we have the more points than everyone else. First, we select everything from customers table. Now we want to order customer by click the points in descending order. You can look at you can see the customer sorted by the loyalty. Most loyal customer come first. I want to take all the only first three customers, and that's why we use the limit class. Limit 3. Let's execute this query, and these are most loyal customers. Customers with ID 5683. Now, is this something we have to remember? That is the order limit the class. Limit class always come and the end. For select class, we have the from. Optionally, we have the where condition followed by ordered by limits. If you change the order, MySQL is a let. So, when we next is inner joins. So for using in select the column single table, in real world we create the select columns multiple tables. That's why we are using to the tutorials. Then on the left side we can add the orders table. Let's select all the data here. In this table, we are using the customer ID column and identify the customer. We have the place which order. Then we told you before customers in the information, okay, phone number, email, address, because this information changes in the future. And if you give the customer a place to multiple, we have the come back, change multiple records. We want to do it. That's why we have the separate orders. Then in this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to select orders in the orders table instead of showing the customer ID full name each customer. So let's go back to the query window. All right. So you want to select the all orders table. Select the orders table columns in the customers table. That is why we use joins keyword. We optionally type the inner join. Is equally have the two types of join, inner joiner and outer join. If I look at the outer join line letter in the section, but now using the inner join, inner keyword is optional. No need to type it. You want to join orders table. Is the customers table. On what on best join will works. Here the customer table, customer ID column. If you put these two tables with each other, you will not do like such that customer's ID is equal. That is where we use the on phrase. After on, we type the condition. Is the condition we need to type orders, the customer underline ID. She should be equals to customers dot customer ID. Now this is the getting the offshore of the screen. Then break up this line. That's better. With this query in my telling my skill, whenever you're joining orders table with the customers table, make sure customer ID column in the orders table equals customer ID column in the customers table. Now let's execute this query. Look at this result. Since we're selecting everything here, the first week few columns orders table, we have the first. After all these columns in the orders table, we have the columns in the customer table, customer's ID, first name, last name, and so on. Not simple say the collect onion or last name, first name, last name. The actual query is the select order ID, first name, and last name. Now let's execute this query, but that is better. Now let's see each order ID. We can see name of the customer, place the order. Now we already want to display customer ID is one. Now let's put that happen. Customer's ID. Execute the query. We get the an error. If you look at the output window, you see the column customer ID in the field name is ambiguous. Opportunity is recording window is smaller than MySQL. What is this? Let me explain why it's getting the error. Customer ID column in all orders, customers table. MySQL is not sure which table do you want to select this column from. That is why saying this column is ambiguous. You qualify this column, prefix in this table name. You can indicate orders table, customers table. Doesn't very matter. Valid use equal. Like so, in situation like the same column, multiple tables, you need to qualify them. Prefix in this in the name of the table. Now let's execute this query on time. Let's see where you go. Order ID, customer ID, and first name and full name. Last name. One more thing, we fill the close the void orders multiple places we have the here as well as in the join condition. Same as to the customers table, we have the repeat them here. We get the repetition of this simpler code simpler by using the alias. Right after the each table, we can give it the alias oh as a short from the orders. Abbreviate the table's name or orders replace to the O. So join condition replace orders VO. Also one more time select class. Let go. We can also apply the customers table C. Then simplify join condition like C. This is how we can join column multiple from the multiple columns. Multiple tables we can work. Now for some exercise, order items table. So in this table, we have this column order ID, product ID, quantity, unit price. I want to create the query, join this table with the products table. So each of the order returns some product ID followed by the quantity, unit price, and order of items. By the way, make sure the alias to simplify the column. First, let's select everything from orders, items table, and then join it with the product table. How are you going to join here? On orders, underline items dot. Actually, keep this alias item, right? OI is an abbreviation for it, order items. P is the product, short for products. OI is dot product ID. It should be equal to P products dot product ID. By the way, remember that you can even the alias name is to you have to use alias everywhere. I cannot type out products dot my skill is alert me. This is how we join this. Let's execute this query after this point. All right, we see all the items from the order items table followed by the columns from the products table. Now you want to explicitly select a few columns here. So order item table, order ID. We will take this prefix this table name because this the column is not repeated multiple places, which is not ambiguous. Let's take the shorter. Now let's select product ID column because this column exists pros table. We have to prefix it table name OIs dot p. It doesn't very matter. Next you select the quantity, finally unit price. Now actually here have unit price column here in post table. This is the unit price order items table and this is unit price in product table. Now we want to buy the two places the column price of the product can be changed. So if each order item at the time user customer place the order. This is the snapshot the price unit price of the products table is the current price right now. This is very important of this way. Otherwise, we cannot calculate it. Unit price column is two places. In this case, order items table price at the time of the order. And now let's execute the query is the final result. In the real world, Iraq's developer database administration, you oftenly use work with multiple databases. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to combine the columns from the tables across multiple databases. Pretty easy. The SQL database, that is friendly familiar with this. Imagine this product table not here. Now, if you look at the SQL in the inventory database, you can see that we have another products table. This product table exactly same as the products table we have in SQL database. In the same columns in the same data. Technically, this is not good design. We want to have the same table repeated multiple places. For this demo in Excel, imagine products table here. We want to join order items table, products table in the SQL inventory database. Let's get started. So select everything from orders item table. Let's give an idea string away. Then join this products table. This products table is product SQL inventory database. So we have to prefix this name of this database. We will type the SQL inventory dot. Once again, we give this alias name p and type of join condition OI dot product ID should be the same as the p dot product ID. Let's run the query. We successfully joined the tables across the multiple databases. Now let the prefix in the table products table name of the database current database that you can query again SQL query database. Take a look in the navigator panel. SQL Starter database is in alias use statement select the database SQL store. Now what is the select the SQL inventory database? Let's see what happening. Inventory because multiple statements terminate this semicolon. Now you want to select the same thing order items table. Would you have to the inside of this database? Now we have to prefix this table name of this database. SQL underline store dot. Let's get execute this query. Okay, everything works beautifully. Only have the prefix the tables, not for the current database. In other words, if a query is defined depending on the current database. In SQL, we also join the tables. Let me show an example. Self join. Other SQL HR is the database. In this database, we have two tables in employees and officers. Let's take a look at the data in employees table. Here this we have the column employee ID, first name, last name, job title, salary, and reports to. This is the ID of the manager. What is the person, employee once again. We don't repeat the manager information, let the phone number, address. This is the information is changed in the future. Only using the database ID to repeat them in the table. Where you can find the information of the manager. This manager is actually employee of the same of organization. Look at this example. Manager ID is 37270. Now you look at the left side 37270 employee ID. He is the manager of this employee. Let's take a look. We don't have any value. Value for this is null. Doesn't have the manager like CEO. Let's query. Join this table example. Select each employee manager. Actual query window. First we need to select the SQL HR database. Select everything from employees table. You can give the alias name, join this table, like self employees, but we need the defined alias. What should we call this alias? Join this table is find the managers. So we can use the M as a short manager. Now on join condition, employees table, we need to join reports, underline two column, a managers table, which is basically employees table itself, that column, employee underscore ID. Now let's execute this query and what we can get. Now all the columns from the employees table repeated. The first of the column represents the information about the employee. After that, we have information about the manager. In this case, only one manager in this table. Technique, we can easily create the organization. We can have the hierarchy of the manager. Simplify the query answer, select the name of the employee manager. So like here, since every column is of the employee repeat wise, we need to prefix each column table name. For example, from the employees table, we can get employee ID as well as the first name, and for the managers table, select a first name as well. So every column should be prefix of the table name. Or actually, yes, all this column exists to table, right? Let's go ahead and execute this query. So this is what we get: employee ID, first name, and manager's first name. Improve this query by giving the alias to this column. It doesn't make sense to the two first name columns. So let's give alias to the third column, manager. Now let's execute the movement more time. And here's the result. We have employee ID, first name, and the manager. So joining a table with itself pretty much another table. Only difference is we have to use different alias. We have to prefix each column with an alias. This is what we call self join. Next I'm going to show you how to join more than two tables. Joining multiple tables. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to join more than two tables while by writing the query. Uh, Look at the orders table. Now you write the query, join the table customers table, return the data about the customers, replace the each tutorial. Also have the another column status which is similar to the customer ID column. So the name of this not going to in this table, something else orders table. Like, let's have the quick here. Orders can be the processed, shipped and delivered. And these are the I defined each of this status. Orders table in the status column we store orders status ID. So now we should write the joins order table with two tables, customers table and orders the table. The result of this queries look like this. So for each order use order ID, order date, first name and last name of the customer, and finally this is the status of this order. Beautiful record of this user. Let me show you how to write this query. Actual query editor, you first select the SQL store database, select everything from orders table. Let's give the areas. Let's join the customers table on orders.customer ID should be equal seek.customer ID. Nothing yourself. Exact say like this. Here you can write another join keyword. Let's join the orders table. Orders this the table. Type the orders status. Also given the alias OS. And what is the join condition? Well, I can this order table status the column. So the value in this column will be equal to order status ID column, order status table. Actual query orders table dot status should be equals to order status dot order status ID. Let's get the don't have to type the error. This is how you can join three tables. Real world as you work on more complex programs and end up joining at 10 tables. And this is common in the SQL error. And now let's go into execute. First to get the followed these columns, customers table and so on. It's result so complex and extra. Let's explicitly select this a few columns here. Orders table. We'll select order ID column as well as order date. Then from the customers table and select the first name and last name. And finally from the order status table from the selector name column. Alias we can give the status. That's better. Let's execute the query one more time. So we got the result. Order ID, order date, first name, name of the customer followed by the status of the name. Exercise, take a look at SQL invoicing database. Here are the payments that each client made for the invoice. Let's take a look the data like a client ID. Client we join this see the clients. Next we have the invoice ID, also date, amount and payment method. Similarly, we can join this table with the payment methods table here. Let's have a look at data in this table. This is the payment table, the cash white. Back to the payments table. I want to write the query, join this query, payment methods table as well as the clients table. Produced by the payments, more details such as the mail name of the client, payment method. Alright, first you use SQL events in database. Now you can select everything from the date payments table, which we call P, join clients table, which we call C, on P dot client ID. It should be equal to C dot client ID. Let me double check the column name, make sure that column. Actually, payment table column is called client ID. Also, payment method, join method ID column of the method table. So, actual query. Once again, we use the join statement here, join with payments methods. We get the various PM on P dot payments underline method should be equals to the PM dot payments method ID. It should be typed this correctly, or otherwise it will give the error. Let's go and execute the query after this point. Let it go. Finally, let's handpick the column to make them sense. So From the payments table, let's select the date followed by the invoice ID. What is the So we have the client ID, invoice ID, date, amount, and payment method. I'm going to pick the amount from the actual query p dot amount. Now we want the amount of this ID. Now let's take a look. Clients. So here we have the columns like name, address, city, and so on. All the name column is actual query. From the clients table, select the name column. Finally, from the payment method table, let's select, there's the column called, it's got name. Back to the query, pm dot name. Here is the end result. We can put the columns any order thus. It doesn't matter. Let's execute the query. Let's store everything in the output. And this data invoice ID name, we have the payment name and query. Compound join conditions. All the examples are so far. The single use or uniquely identify given the table. For example, in the customers table, we have customers ID column which uniquely identifies rows in this table. And cannot be using single column uniquely identify the records you give the call. For example, look at the order items table. In this table, we have the columns order ID, product ID, so on. Then if you look at the call data, see the values, order ID column, repeater, duplicator, 222, 666, and so on. We can add this column unique identifier records. Same is true, but product ID always in this column, also duplicator. So this table, we use the combination of the values in both of these columns, uniquely identify the each order item. As then in this order, 3 items for product 1, 4, 6. Each product we have quantity and unique price. If you use the combination of the values in the both this column, uniquely identify each per order item. Otherwise, you don't have to the record order ID 2 and product ID 1. Only have single record order item. Now let's open this table design model. Now over here, click on this icon. Now let that is yellow key represents the primary key exist both this column. This is what column composite primary key. Composite primary key contains more than one column. Now why this again? Why you have this table composite primary key? We need to learn how to join the table on the table. So, for example, this table order item that we used to keep now, each order item. Let's take a look at the data item. We have this column note ID, uniquely identify records in this table. Let's show that order ID and product ID. You know, the combination of these two columns uniquely represent the order item. So here order number 2, product number 1, we have two nodes. Now let me show you how to join this table, order item table. So back to query. Already select the SQL store database. Use data. No need to type the use statement. Select from the order items. Give it the alias. Now it is join this order item nodes. Also we give it the alias. How are you going to join this table on two columns? Back to the columns. These are the columns we are going to use join condition. So order items table. We have this order ID column. This should be equal to the same column in order item nodes node table. OIN dot order ID. This is not enough. We should also join this table based on the product ID column. So we type the and, we type and second condition order items dot product ID should be equals to order item nodes dot product ID. This is what we call compound joined condition. We have multiple conditions joined these two tables. Implicit join in syntax. In this tutorial, we are going to talk about the implicit join. Basic inner join we have. And join with customers table, orders table, and orders dot customer ID and customers dot customer ID. Very basic. Another way to worry implicit and join syntax. Let me show you how that works. So select everything from here we can type multiple table names. So orders, comma, customers. We can also give the alias see and remove this join condition to the where class. I'm going to copy this where class and copy paste this condition. These two queries are quickly manner. We have to can implicit join syntax. Even the MySQL syntax is something that not to use. If you accidentally forget the type of the where class to get the cross join. Let me show you for example. Press the query, execute this. So we get the 10 records we have the orders of these items. What happens if you accidentally forget to type out where class? Instead of 10 records, totally 10 records. Every record in the order table is now join every record in the customers table. This is what we call cross check. Later in the section, cross joins in the more details. What I want to point out in this tutorial, better to use the explicit joins in syntax. You use joins is because this syntax suppose join condition. If you simply join orders customers without typing join condition, you're going to get the syntax here. We implicit the jointing sex already joined in the explicit syntax also. Outer joins. Well, in this section, SQL, two types of joins, inner join and outer join. So for use, all these examples are inner join. So all the inner keyword is used optional. Or whenever you type the join, we are using the inner join. In this tutorial, we are going to tell about the outer joins. Let's start the query with inner join. Let me convert into the outer join. So select start everything from customers table, join it orders table on c dot customers ID should be equal to the o dot customer ID. 20 basics now. Clarity now. Let's make the columns from the this tutorial. Customers table I want to pick customer ID and first name. Then and from the orders table I am to pick the order ID. Finally, let's start the result of order by c dot customers ID. Let's execute this query and see what we get. So this is the result for customer number 2 and winner's first name and last name, first order ID, order 4 and order 7. Similarly, customer ID and something is a missing result already. We have an order in this step. These are the customer 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 duplicates. It's the customers table. We have other customers like customer number 2, 3, and so on. Currently, we don't have the cardless customers. That's the reason we don't see them. This results there. What if we want to see all the customers whether we have the order or not? That's why we using the outer join. How the works it will work. Back to the query. Recent we have the customer's order because this condition. Join in this tutorial only return the records match and this condition. So for the given customers, if you want order, that record is as you saw the second customers don't have the order. So for the customer condition is not valid. So this is the reason we don't return the result set. So the solve this program, we want to use two types of outer joins, left joins and right joins. When we use the left join, all the records from the left table in this case, our customers return whether this condition is true or not. We get all the customers from our order. We see the order ID as well. Let's execute this query and what we get the result. Let go. Customer number one doesn't have an order. Null it will get. Now customer number two, two orders, so on 4 and 7. Customer number three also doesn't have a. We have the null order ID. This is the result of the customer. Then left join, we can use all the records from the left table or the returns, whether this condition is true or not. Now what if we use right join? In this case, all the records from the orders table return whether the condition is true or. Let's execute this query and so we get the same result as referred and we use the result. All the records from the right table which is the orders table. So you don't see all the customers, you see the all customers. We have to write join. All the customers, we have to swap the all the tables from the customer orders table first, left table, and then we put the customers on the right side. So now we do all the records from the right table, which is customers table. Execute this, we get all the customers whether they have the order or not. Beautiful. Now let's last thing the before the outer keyword we have to use right outer join word, left outer join. Outer keyword is the optional inner keyword. We know to no need to type the outer. Easy to understand. If you use the join keyword, inner join. If you do left or right join, you do an outer join. This is exercise for this tutorial. This result is a 3 columns here: product ID, name, and quantity, picked order items table. Products table, order items table. We can see how many times each product is ordered. However, if you are inner join, you only see the product, we have the outer join. So, product number 7 is the never been order, still exist in the result. If you null or quantity, go ahead and the outer join produce this result. First, we select everything from the products table, LESP, left join with the orders, items table. Unjoined condition is P dot product ID equals OI dot product ID. Because we are using left join all the products from the products table, whether it is condition is true or not. If they have never been order in the see in the result, let's fake the if you call this from the clarity p dot products id, p dot name, and order I dot quantity. That's it. Just execute this query. We get same. We got all the products here. On product number 7 is never been ordered. It's the null for the quantity. Outer join between multiple tables. Similar inner joins, we can use the outer join between multiple tables. Let me show you. Here is the query we get in the last tutorial. Left join between customers and orders table. So when we execute this query, We get all the customers whether it have the order or not with their own order ID. Beautiful. Now if we look at the orders table, we can see the sum of the order is shape ID. Orders are the Now let's join up the orders table, shipper table. Display the shipper in the result. Back to query. After this left join, let's write other join, inner join. Inner join orders table, shippers table. Shippers, we call it SH on what is the join condition? O dot shipper ID equals to sh dot shippers ID. Right. In this query, we have left outer join and inner join. Let's see what's happening. All right. Only see 5 records. We have more orders. We have so problem. Some orders don't have the shippers. That is why it is not written the. Otherwise, join condition is true. Some of the orders back to the order table. As an example, first order doesn't have the shippers. Shipper ID is null. That is why it is not written. It's a query result. To solve this problem, we should use left join. All orders from the return, whether I have the shipper or not. Back to the query. We need to replace the inner join, left join. So let's execute this query and what's happening. Now we should have a few more orders. Now to make this example more interesting, add shipper name here. So back to our select class. Let's have in a new column shippers dot name. And we can alias name shipper. Let's execute the query and is the result. We get all the customers whether they have order or not. And for the loss we have the order. We get all the orders shipper or not. This is the power of order join. And the last tutorial we learned that she got the same result. Was left join or right join. We just have the orders of the table. However, as a best practice, why it is right joins and me join multiple tables and left and right inner join, things get very complex. Uh, I have difficulty in visualizing this how this join. As an example, right join here and the left join after harder to visualize how this table are getting joined. As best practice, right join, left join only we have to use. And here is an exercise for this tutorial. Query produce this. Here is this column order date, order ID, first name of this customer, shipper, and the second there's some orders and the next ship here. We have no. And finally, we have status. You go ahead the 2 to 3 minutes of exercise that compile solution. All right, select everything from the orders table. Oh, now just join this customers on O dot customers ID should be equals to the C dot customer ID. As you are using inner join, every order does have customers. So this condition always valid. You use the left or inner join here. Now if you go on further, let's pick the columns or order to order ID followed by order dot order date and then the customers dot customer first name and as which optionally alias to customer. Next we need to select the shippers. So join to the result to the shippers table on order dot shipper ID equals shipper dot shipper ID. However, if you are inner join here, customer orders don't have shipper, only going to the orders we have ship. Let me show you for clarity. I'm going to add shipper's name here, shipper dot name as uh, let's go to execute the query. Let it go. On it, you can see the order ID, all the orders from the. We need to change second join, left join. All orders are written by the shippers or not. Let's execute the one more time. Or Okay. Now see all the orders from the number 1 to 10. Finally, we need to add the status column here. We need to do another join here. Join order statuses which you have previewed this OS on O dot status ID equals to OS dot orders status ID. You can see the app design this database. Sometimes this column name are exactly identical. Other cases it doesn't match. Order table we call it the status as opposed to order status ID. This is deliver. And real databases are like this. Now let's add status name here. Order status name as status. Execute the query and we can see all the orders here, which orders we have the date and customer, shippers, and etc. Self auto joins. Earlier we talk about the self joins in the SQL. SQL is HR database. You have these employee tables, and we wrote the query to get all the employees and manager. We have the column that it comes to specify the manager for it. Let's back to the return to the query. Actual query in the window. Let's use SQL in the database, SQL HR. Select from the employees table. We give the alias, the join it is itself. Let's this we call self join. Now we're going to use different alias like M managers. Now, what is the join condition? E dot records to should be equal to the M dot employee ID, right? For the clarity, let's break to the three columns: E dot employee ID, E dot first name, and M dot first name, which we name to manager, right? Let's execute the query we get. So here is the result. As you can see, all these employees see manager. However, this is the something missing here. We don't have the record for the person manager himself. What is the missing record? We can see the employee ID for this person, name, manager should be null. Something CEO of the end of the company. Why this is happening? The reason is in a inner join because this condition of here only return to the people who have the manager. To solve this problem, we are using left join. Become every employee in this table whether they have the manager or not. Okay. Now let's execute this one more time. There you go. Now we have the record for this person manager. As you can see, person does not have the manager. That's why we have the null here.